call me, and you know, anytime you call me, man, like the Jackson 5, I'll be there.
I've noticed that.
You're doing fabulous work down here at Radio Regent in the bunker.
Thank you. Yes, the former holding cells.
Excellent work, Q Kirk. Are you a singer? I don't sing, but I get away by saying I work in sound, not singing, right? So that you can't say I'm breaking notes and say it's part of the gig. But do you have some musical training?
Well, that what kind of happened actually is that I started off as a writer, as a poet, and then I took this kind of turn and started to sing. So I was always in choirs and things of that nature. My mom especially really always pushed me forward to develop that art. So I fell in love with singing, but then my voice cracked. And I stopped being a soprano and I was an alto, and I'm like, I can't handle it. But so the thing is I love to sing, so I express myself through song, and I always incorporated my poetry. And so when my voice cracks, I get away with it because I'm a poet.
Yeah, true. And there's some of the poets I know who can sing really well. Like Motion sings extremely well. Motion. Anne-Marie Woods Amani, she sings excellent. In fact, she used to be with a group out of Halifax called For the Moment, a cappella group. Yeah. So look, Ottawa is one of my favorite towns to go to. One of my favorite clubs in the country, the Mercury Lounge at Byward Market. There, I used to go down there and play. You know, of course, there are cats in the scene there, Ritalin, Anthony Bansfield, John Carter, and so on. What was the scene like when you were winning them awards of 2005, 2007, the CBC Face-Off, Poetry Face-Off?
Before we even got there, it all started actually at African Palace before we even hit Mercury Lounge. So when I first came to Ottawa, I'm an artist naturally, and I just love to express myself. So I went to African Palace. They had an open mic, and I did that on stage, and Anthony came up to me and said, "Who are you?" And I'm like, "I just came from Toronto. Come back again." So he told me about the slam competition they were having. So I was never a slam poet. I was just a artist and writer, and I love to write.
But the slam scene was really kicking.
It was kicking. That was the time. So I went on stage and I won that slam. It was the first slam I ever performed. And because of that, I became part of the Ottawa team to represent Canada in the National Spoken Word Olympics in Chicago at the time. So it's the North American Spoken Word Olympics in Chicago. So I was on the team, the Canadian team at the time, with Anthony and Ritalin and so forth. Unfortunately, I was also an immigrant to Canada, and it was right after 9/11, so things didn't work out for me.
Border problems?
Exactly. So Gamarmi Sido actually took my place, and Gamarmi Sido now is he was a great poet back in the day, and now is a filmmaker and so forth. So that was the crew that we started with, and after they came back, I became part of the first Spoken Word Olympics in Canada. So now it's the Canadian Festival of Spoken Word. It first started in Ottawa as the Canadian Spoken Word Olympics. And so I was on a fringe team with Ritalin and John Akpada and some other greats at the time. And we competed and put on the first Spoken Word Olympics in Canada.
Excellent
and then
work.
that flourished into the Canadian festivals. What is it called now? So Canadian
Festival of
Spoken Word. There you go. So that's what it's become today. It's been decades after, and during that time I was performing a lot, and that's how I ended up on CBC stage and winning that in 2005 and 2007.
Now, how did you get the name the romantic revolutionary?
So I actually had a poem about that because someone gave me that name. And so, because Q has always been my nickname. My full name is Quivern, so Q is, naturally a nickname. So what happened, someone said to me, I was doing a show called Spoken Word versus Hip Hop. And that was also a big thing at the time. And he said, you can't just be Q, you got to be Q something. And I said, I'm just Q. He's like, but when you're on stage, you sound so romantic. I said, I'm not saying anything romantic.
You got a voice.
You
got to say you got a voice, though.
So that's what he was saying. I'm just like, everything. I had a thing at the time where I wasn't doing any love poetry at all on stage, but my voice sounded very sensual and sounded so forth. And so I said, you know what? I get it. I get what you mean by that. So I accepted that name at the point in time, and I was Q the Romantic Revolutionary for for a number of years.
But you see, most younger poets, I'm surprised sometimes when people say they are dub poets, because the spoken word slam poetry scene is so big, so most younger black poets identify as spoken word. So you call yourself a dub poet.
Absolutely.
Why? And what do you see the differences and similarities between the two?
So, I mean, the similarities are obvious in the sense of its performance poetry, its poetry on music. Regardless, I say dub poetry and dub poet because one of my roots and my upbringing, I'm from Tobago, very rooted kind of culture. And we have our own version of dub, kaiso, and so forth, where we sing a political message over
and
music.
Rapso too, with Brother Resistance
of
and
course,
Kariga Mandela,
of course. So
book, all those
these are my inspiration. These are my roots. These that's in my bloodstream. So when I also kind of went along my journey and found myself as a Rastafari, and understood the heartbeat of the drum that called to me personally. And so for me, I went back to that element, that basic element of drums and the voice. The words had a power in that sense. And I understood dub from that kind of elemental level, which is why when I perform on stage to the community, it's really just with the drummers and myself, so we can feel the root of it. And because I see dub poetry as a root to all of these movements, because a lot of the inspiration that came to North Americans and so forth were Caribbean ones who had that same kind of foundation, and we blended with the new kind of culture that we found here today and created something new, created rap, created hip-hop, and all of these things. So I give honor to that. As a Rastafari as well, you give thanks to ones who came before you, movements that came before. So I give thanks by making sure that that's attached to my name. It's and so people could, if they've never heard the poetry before, Google it. You know,
because of course, when the credit for dub poetry is usually words, sound, power.
So
you seem to have added
power.
another element to it, a song, if you will, because that piece you did in the beginning, just the intro.
Yes,
I can actually hear the drums going, the Nyabingi drums going right there. So like I was hearing it as if it was there.
Yes,
Explain your interaction with musicians, and you're working on your first album, your debut album.
Right.
Explain how you're working with the musician, because it's one thing to be musical alone. Now you got to deal with somebody else telling you what to do or having to keep up with the sounds.
Well, I'll be completely honest with you. I'm going to throw you for a loop. One thing I understand about myself is that I am an artist and I'm a poet. And as a Rastafari, I have a purpose, and my purpose is to really speak on all levels and in all forms I can. So, in saying that, I say that to say that my album is completely different from my stage. And on my stage is where we'll have the live element, and I'll work with ones like Isaacs. I love working with him.
Oh,
and
yeah, he's magnificent. That brother is just super lubula.
My goodness. When I work with musicians, the vibe that we usually get is they're usually surprised by my cadence, because I speak in time with the music usually. So because I write to music, and I always have music in my meditation, so we end up I create my own kind of sound with the voice, and we end up finding this really beautiful groove. So when I perform live, I mean, yes, we have the raw element of the drums, but I'll invite other artists as well, bass players and saxophone players and so forth. And we come together and we jam. It's really what it is. And we hold a vibe. And we always catch the groove and go forward from there. So, but the album I'm working on, I decided to do something different, because I really want to attract the youth to find themselves through word, if that's your purpose, because it was mine. So with this album, I decided to go more of a hip-hop modern route with it.
Okay.
And I sourced out a great young engineer. His name is Justin Limited. And he's an underground hip-hop engineer and works in ones all over Canada, North America. And I love Justin because he loves music. And, I walk into his place and there's, 45s, of Burning Spear. I'm like, what? Or there's things that I love, and because he loves music and sound, he was the right one to really help me kind of blend this my love and my art from a dub to a new sound. you know, so which is why you end up with something like What She's Saying. And another one that we created that I love is called Ancestors Chant, because that one blended Burning Spear, Wadada, which is one of my all-time favorite songs of all time, blended that with this new kind of funky hip-hop beat, and I was like, what is this? I love it. So that's what the album sounds like. Whenever you see Q, you don't know what you're going to get, except you're going to get words, sound, and power. I'm a Rastafari. It's my only purpose. I do it in every element, every way possible I can. So.
When What She Say hits the charts, you know, with that romantic revolutionary thing might be coming back again.
I like that.
Where do you see the spoken word and the hip hop and poetry scene going? Because it seems to me over the years it's just gotten wider and wider and wider. So now it's more possible to do more things, to go more things. So what are your plans? Where do you see the scene going, and where do you yourself aim to go?
So where I see the scene going, if there's one thing I've learned in life through work and just experience, is that one thing that's constant is change. And if we're seeing years of growth of the same, there's time for change. And I see the youth doing something different with this movement. You know what I mean? I see them growing into something unknown, but something I will love because it has the basic elements of word, sound, and power. The reason why You Heard Me is called the Poetry, Art, and Expression concert is because that art of expression leaves it open to any and everything possible, you know? So however you express yourself, you can. So I see this movement growing, continuing to grow and change and evolve in something that we have yet to see, you know. So what I'm doing with You Heard Me as well is actually raising funds to support Malvern Rec Center. They have a beautiful space there called The Spot, and I want to, my intention is to go forward to the space and teach this word, sound, and power, and to teach this the poetry workshop, really in hopes that we inspire the youths to do something different.
As the date approaches, we should all be aware that it's this Thursday we're talking about, August the 25th.
Yes, at the Oasis Banquet Hall.
Cusis. That's a Q there.
Oh, you see, I thought it was a typo.
No.
It's at 3474 Kingston Road East. There's free parking. You can call 265-3030 for more information. It's next Thursday. And of course, Mishi Me, an icon here locally. Hip-hop and all kinds of things. Mishi Me is going to be there, too.
Yeah, Mishi Me, the art of expression for me. She was the first one to blend her culture of, you know, dancehall to hip hop, and that inspired me to do my thing. So I want to give thanks to her and show the world Mishi Me and continue the inspiration.
Are you performing solo that night, or you got a drummer or anything with you?
Absolutely. So we have the drummer with me as well. I have actually the Toronto Heritage Drummers will be coming forward to the event. Toronto Heritage Drummers is a group of Rastafari and First Nation drummers from the community, and they come together and put together these unique performances, blending of this article kind of culture. So they'll be there as well. And I also have Jackie DeTuit, and Jackie DeTuit is an 8th generation South African storyteller. She's one of the most beautiful souls I've ever met, and she's the element and essence of dub, blending her storytelling to sound, and creates a beautiful sound with her voice as well. So bringing forward that to the community.
Wow. So heavy evening, Paul. Are you going, Corby?
I'm going to be there, man. That's my part of town.
You're orbiting the East End, yeah.
I'm already there, man.
I got to get my passport for that one, but
I can show you the way. So, not to take away from that event, you are at Rastafest this weekend as well.
I am at Rastafest.
We should mention that.
Nice.
Yes.
Johnny Osborne is headlining that.
Yes.
Wow, yeah, bumpy back.
Yes.
And Clifton, I know you'll agree that, you know, when Allen Ginsberg got up on stage and ranted away with that style he took from a French Canadian named Jack Kerouac in the mid-'50s, that was a big deal. And then 30 years later, up rises Linton Kwesi Johnson, you, Devin Houghton, Lillian Allen.
And don't forget the Okunara, his reflections in red and no peace, no justice. He just re-released that. That was done 37 years ago.
Wow.
And now here it is 30 years later.
Yep. Time goes on, and here's
another wave.
Here's the Q, the revolutionary.
It'll rise up again. Yes. Thank you so much, Q, for dropping down.
Oh, well, give thanks.
Excellent.
And Clifton, like the Jackson 5 say, I want
I'll be
you back.
You want me back?
Yes.
There's a song like that. Yeah.
Alrighty.
It's always wonderful here at Corby's